funds, or I don't know, Jim could make it, someone else could make it, so.
Give me just a couple seconds.
We get to it.
Okay, Emily, I'm gonna shoot you a picture of this, of what you
Look
need.
out, get behind the chair so you don't get hit.
Jean,
Gotta keep going on toes.
Jean. Yeah, you've got several you gotta take. Yeah,
So there's nothing KSBA will do about it?
well, I emailed them, and I want like a paper trail and not a voice thing, so I emailed one person, they haven't got back with me, so I emailed the other person, and so I still haven't got, you have to go with the ones who were in charge of that, not our rep that we go through, so I'm still waiting.
Because I mean, it's not their fault that they scanned badges and it didn't work evidently.
That's what they're thinking it happened, so, yeah.
I just
know, I'm sure we're not going to.
And,
I would not think so.
and Lori's like, she only needs like a half an hour or an hour in finance. But she doesn't need it till 2026 or 2027. Yeah. Did you say? I couldn't see, that's my hour. But she did that for just about.
What is that next 3
She's
hours?
missing half to go back to the
So, yeah, those are the ones that you need. Yeah.
sometimes we were seven, but she should, if she took the classes in November, they do the finance, they do the.
Well, yeah, they do all the ones, they do all the ones in December.
You put your phone up in the Jake, so that's
You ready?
Whatever you want to do.
Lori's here now.
Oh, well, now, now.
No, we have to wait for it. You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
An outline order of the Green County Board of Education monthly board meeting on June 12, 2025 at 6 p.m. Ms. Linda, may we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Flaherty,
Here.
Mr. Nelson, Ms. Smith, here, Ms. McClanahan, Ms. Worthington.
Thank you. We'll be reading the mission statement tonight. The mission of Green County School Board is to respond to the needs of all students and empower each child to succeed at their highest potential. This will be achieved through our policy decisions and resource management. And I ask for everybody would please stand, we'll have the pledge to the flag now.
You start.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? I'll make the motion. Do I have a second? Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor, raise your hand, please. We do not have any public recognition tonight, so we will move on to number 7, which is our construction update and approvals.
That's you.
You want to go over? I can do that. Dry Ridge is moving along very fast. The floor has been evaded in the 200 section. They have already did demo in the 200 section. Also, the wings in between the 200 to 300, 300, 400, those wings have been demoed out, and they'll start very soon putting those back. Those will look kind of like a glass type of storefront, no little glass block that no one ever liked. So
Did you do any sledgehammering on them?
I did not, but Ms. Lawrence asked me to save some of the glass block for some of the teachers. They wanted them, so we saved some of those back.
Make sure they're the ones that don't have holes in them.
Yes, that's right. The 300 restrooms have been demoed. They're already putting those back together. The 400 is probably about 50% demoed. So another 2 weeks they'll be put back together. The gymnasium The 2 restrooms, the floors have been demoed out, or the locker rooms. The bathrooms have been demoed out. So Duke Energy was there this week. They're taking some poles down. If you look at the front of the school down the left side, there was a lot of old telephone poles there. So those are all being taken out down through there. And I guess that's about it. They have to, in the 100 section and the 200 section, we found out that there was oil-based paint underneath our water base that we put on, so that they're scraping all of that off about 4 foot high, and they're going to have to redo that. So they're working on that. So it's going along very, very good. A lot of things happening right now. So it's good.
Awesome. So if enrollment on time then, which is before school starts, we're thinking we're gonna be on time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to be. The only thing that might be held back is the 400 restrooms, because that has to have a lot of the floor cut out in there for the plumbing to be redone. So if that is the fact, we still have 3 other restrooms in the building, so it would not hold up school for that.
And the 400 ones are the ones closest to the library,
That's correct.
those 2 right when you walk in the.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need the worst demo probably of all.
Yeah.
Whew. They haven't been good for years.
Well, if you remember, KDE deemed that school one of the 25 worst in the state of Kentucky. So you know where we started from.
It's come a long way. It looks,
Yeah.
looks like it look absolutely awesome.
It will look like one school building. It might look like one school building now.
Not pieces.
Well, it's not, but we've been talking all week. They took out all of the doors all the way through, so you can actually stand in the 200 and see all the way down to 400. And Miss Lawrence asked, can we leave it like that? No, you can't. You gotta have a fire block there, so. Yeah.
That'd be the first time in history that it's all been one thing, not
Yeah.
pieces and parts and puzzles. Okay. So do I have a motion to approve pay application number 17 for DRE in the amount of $179,538.20? Jean, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Give it a motion. Ms. Debbie, did you say
I'll
so?
go for it. I'm sorry.
Any discussion on that pay application? All in favor, raise your hand, please. Okay, and we're moving on to B, which is approval of the DFG District Facility Plan, which I'm guessing Ms. Linda just laid out.
Yeah.
Off the press, off the press.
Good evening. Everybody has a copy of the DFP. It stands right now. I guess this vote tonight, if it is approved, it solidifies your DFP, which has been a long process, but the LBT has been meeting on it the past couple of months. You kind of reach your next 4-year range plan. I can kind of go through it very quickly if everybody's okay. The first page, that's just kind of the very top left, that goes over your high school, middle school, 4 elementaries, kind of lists all your school centers. And then on the far right, it gives you your existing capacities and then the actual design capacity of the school. So that's kind of nice to see. You can tell how much room there in each facility. Category 1s and Category 2s. Actually, Category 1s, those are any projects that you expect to be completed in the next 2 years. There's none on that. And then your Category 2s, those are in the next 4 years. And you can see the first one there, that 2C1, that's your high school. That is replacing some of your HVAC in your roofing piece. And the reason why that is kind of limited because your high school is, the majority of it is less than 30 years. So we have to do anything over 15, below 30 years. So that's some of your HVAC and some of your roofs. So that's why that's only $2 million up there. And then under the next category, that's your middle school. That's a full renovation. You can see there 109,000 square feet. In all those years, those are all the additions that was added on to over the years. You can see that's a pretty good number. That's around 18 million. And then that description there, that kind of just breaks out all the different pieces as far as what the renovation would entail. And then we also break down 2,000 building addition of the middle school. That's a lot less limited because that's between that 30 years and 15-year bracket. Does that make sense? KD will not allow you to fully renovate a school building if it's not, if it's under 30 years. Yes. And then the number 3 there, that's your elementary, Crittenden Mount Zion Elementary. You can see that's a full renovation for anything that qualifies as well. There's about a $10 million number to that figure. Then we kind of broke the other pieces out for one of that 3.2, 3.3, those are the other additions. They're less than 30 years old as well. So KD kind of makes you break them down into years and into the additions, or the age of the additions. And then we have Mason Corinth there. Again, a $5.5 million renovation number. And we have Sherman Elementary there for, obviously those are a lot less minor renovations because those are so new. Schools less than 15. And on the next page, those are the category C's. Those are all the schools. We just have access controls, cameras, everything, upgrades for security for your bus drive, for elementaries, and schools. We have some, there are 2F, we have some ADA upgrades for the middle school, ADA upgrades for elevator compliance, and then there are no category 3s. Category 4s, those are more of your non-elementary buildings like your bus garages, you know, kind of like field houses, central office, maintenance facilities, those items. So you can see under category 4s, we have parking lot expansions of the bus garage, some central storage, warehouse, district storage building, some central office renovations, and food service maintenance renovation. Does all that make sense? And then category 5s, those are kind of your cash fund projects. Those are all your non-educational ones, or ones that Katie says you don't technically need. So like you don't have your classrooms onto a school that you already have excess square footage in, you can still do it, but it has to be a category 5. It needs to be paid with cash, non-bonded money. So that's kind of like your wish list. That's where most schools put in all their athletics and auditoriums and all that kind of stuff. So there's a whole laundry list there for each of the schools.
One thing I will say is, one thing that came back from KDE was their very first paragraph on their first notes back to us was, it said that we are decreasing in enrollment, and it said, looking at, from the University of Louisville, looking at over the next 25 years, Grant County is expected to lose even more enrollment with students. So what position that puts us in is having buildings that are too big for the amount of students that we have. And we're basically there right now, is where we're at. So that part of it was a surprise when that came back to us from KDE from that data. But, you know, that's where we're at, you know, looking at the future. Also, I didn't know if y'all had a chance. This is Emmett's brother, Joe. He met her. I didn't know
Some of us
if new members got the meeting or not.
Emily and
Okay.
Do they say why they don't expect growth?
No, that is a study that comes out of the University of Louisville. That's where KDE gets all their projections from. They did not say why that is.
It's actually very common. I mean, we did Owen County's, they said the same Campbell's is decreasing. I think Ken's is. I mean, it's just it's I think there was only one district that did it, but actually it grew things like Fort Thomas or something.
Fort Thomas had growth.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, it's, you're not.
Well, they have, since you can pick where you go now.
I would say they probably do. It's just surprising with us being on I-75 that.
Well, you read something that said, us and one other county were the two counties that weren't projected to grow. Todd had read something
Yeah,
And
for
Cindy was the other one.
Rockcastle County, just in general population. What Louisville looks at is school-age children population. So what I looked at was just an overall population trend along the I-75 and 65 corridors. It looks like those will be parts of the state that will grow in population. And what, as you look at the map, it's kind of a migration from eastern Kentucky and western Kentucky to those two corridors, because I think that's where business is going to go. But the Louisville study actually looks at school-age children, which I guess takes into consideration a host of other factors.
Tuition, kids.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We'll prove.
No, that's fine. Okay. Anybody got any questions or discussion on this before we prove it? That's a lot of big numbers and a lot of, I guess, wishful thinking on some things.
Well, the problem is if you don't put it on there, you can't do it.
Oh,
Right,
Okay.
right.
Or, if you remember, remember we almost got started on the CTC project, and that wasn't on the plan for that, addition. So we had to reconvene the LPC committee. We had to do a finding. KDE had to approve that so that we could move on with that welding, part of the CTC.
So you're better off just listing anything you think
Yes,
you like.
anything you might need in the next 4 years, you need to list it on here.
And that's what we tried to do. This thing's loaded up pretty good. I mean, your unmet need right now is 45 million. So that's pretty good. You want that number as high as possible for the SFCC.
And that's part of the LPC's focus is, you know, we pull administrators, we pull teachers, we pull community members, we pull business people. So it you know, kind of gives a broad look at everything out there so that, you know, we can get a good measure of what needs to go on to this plan.
I was on that committee and I missed the last meeting because I had
Yeah.
gone. We had talked about maybe utilizing a room in each building. Did we add that to that, like for a STEAM or
Yes.
science? You did put that?
Yeah, but I think Gary Lease, did he give us some kickback on that?
It's under the category 5,
Yeah, so,
which means that it's extra square footage over what you're allowed to have. So you can do it, but you have to pay cash for it.
yes,
Does that make sense?
that's what he pushed back on.
Yeah,
When
you
it
gotta,
came- when it
can't
came
float
back
lines
to
on it,
us.
you gotta have your own.
He says technically you should take some of your,
Remember Tuesday in the classroom to see, it's on the very last page.
But we would have to use general funds to do that.
We
because
would,
It doesn't
yeah.
qualify.
or he's saying you can take some of your existing square footage and convert it into that. It's this one, new square footage, to go out bigger.
And that's kind of what we were talking about, was using some of our underutilized rooms
Correct.
to make those, is what we're.
Especially like we don't have art in the elementary. And if we had a room that the teachers could use for that, if they so desired. And then also for the science, extra science things. So, yeah, that would be good. If we get the space, we may as well.
Just need to figure out how to pay for it now.
Right.
Miss Jamie, is there a grant for that?
Well, look, maybe next year, let's get started on the ones.
I was gonna say, look for something about STEAM or STEM, but we need a grant for that.
But real hard.
Okay.
Surely there are some of those grants out there, I think, for the items, but just getting the right thing, I guess. Okay, any more questions then? Do I have a motion to approve the DFP as presented?
Yes.
Do I have a second? All in favor, raise your hand, please. If everybody's okay, we will skip recess.
Oh, man, that's the best part of the meeting.
I did not see anybody had signed up, thank you very much. I did not see anybody had signed up for public comment, so we will move on to number 10, which is our claims. And we have those from last week.
Last week.
Do I have a motion to approve the claims?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion after we reviewed them? Seemed out of the norm or something, we didn't know what it meant. Okay. No discussion, all in favor, raise your hand, please. Okay. Ready, superintendent travel. Do I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand, please. Okay, moving on to number 12, which is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve that? Do I have a second? I'll second. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Any questions or?
No, this isn't on this. Right.
Basket was delivered to him yesterday or
Today.
today, and he was able to come to the door. It's gonna be a long recovery process.
He has a big body, so it's getting the antibiotics.
It's-
I don't know if they said, I heard two things, it could be 2 weeks or it could be 6 weeks of antibiotics, they were still determining how much he was gonna need.
He's hoping to come back to work Monday, I'm sure on a monthly basis, but it's very serious. That's stressful.
Everybody get a chance to, the second reading.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, did everybody get a chance to read all that?
some items on the policy and procedure updates. We have reviewed those. One of the things that we had talked about was the maternity leave policy. I'm gonna recommend that we just add that statement in there that we'll have a policy by that required date. So it's July 1st, 2030. So we're not gonna say how many days we're gonna grant, and we're not gonna say exactly when we're gonna do it, but we'll just include that. Jake, does that sound okay?
Yes, that's my recommendation. The law's not effective until the date that Todd gave, and so KSBA's proposed policy is just to, put in there that you're going to have one by that date. And, we can look at the details before then and decide if you're going to do the bare minimum, if you're going to do more, and what those details are. But again, they passed the law this year, but the effective date's not till 23rd, so we're just putting in there KSBA standard recommended language that we will do it. It'll be effective 2030, but no details yet.
And then the second thing was the traceable communication. Of course, we went with Apogee because of the rooms. Danielle found some other districts that has already published some guidance. One thing that I had not immediately considered is we use Google Classroom for NTI and for student work on several platforms. So I think it would be in our best interest to go ahead and name Google Classroom as a traceable two-way communication. And then the third thing is student email or Grant County School email addresses. So that covers us for activities and such, the rooms. Teachers can communicate directly with parents. Danielle and I were talking about this. It's going to be a little bit different, and I think this is the spirit of the law, and Jake, you weigh in on this if you think I'm going down the wrong path. But the way that I understand the way that rooms would work is that the parent would have that app and could add numbers to it, like the student's phone or device. What I like about that is information that is being relayed to the student, the parent can see. And it does allow for a response. And the same is true, I believe, with Google Classroom, is if you have the access to it, you can see. So we've been using Google Classroom for a long time. And then, of course, student email. Jake, did I mess anything up in that?
No, that's accurate. I think the obvious intent of the law was to be able to track communications between teachers and students, because unfortunately, not necessarily in Grant County, but the state as a whole and the nation as a whole, there's been, unfortunately, too many instances of teachers communicating inappropriately with students. So it's just requiring the school to have a way that is easily monitored by the parents. One little ripple in that law that may do, I'm not sure how just teaching a student. And I've talked to Todd about that a lot. I think KSBA gave a seminar last week and they weren't even sure, whether that was intended or not, and technically whether it even qualifies or not. Certainly taking a safe, conservative, practical approach, and we're planning as if it does. And, that's just erring on the side of caution. That's probably a good judgment.
Did you ever get this from KSBA? I printed it out. The, understanding it, trace of the frequently asked questions, that like answered a lot of questions I had in my mind since when I started reading it, I was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that, but this kind of answered. So it's on your email, one of the emails that we got from them this week. Had I get them to get you a copy if you would like. But it kind of explained, because I think somebody in another district had told me like it was already questioning whether a teacher was going to be able to like the parents something on Facebook, and I said, I don't know how that would even have anything to do with this, because I said, or a former student, not of a current student, or a former student, whether the teacher would be in trouble for that, and I said, no, because it's really trying to limit teacher-student communication without the parent's knowledge versus you're putting something on the parent's Facebook page, they're seeing it, I don't know how you would get in trouble for that. So I said, this is more or less just trying to make sure the parent's seeing everything that the student is being communicated. So, but after I read this, it really kind of explained things a little better. I understood it more. So everybody good with that second reading, and everybody have a chance to look through all 150 pages or whatever.
It's long.
And then we had the acceptable behavior and discipline and transportation handbook as well, and the certified evaluation plan. I've never read so much in 1 week. Lots of stuff in there. So,
Get burned out.
yeah. So any more questions on the consent agenda? All in favor, then raise your hand, please. We don't have any recommended action. Under the board members report, we have the superintendent evaluation. I have that for somewhere. And, I guess I'll just read it out of that one. It's been publicly read. Is that correct? Okay. The Board of Education of the Grant County School District has completed the annual evaluation of Superintendent Todd Moody for the 2024-2025 school year. This year has been a positive yet challenging one, in parentheses, Mr. Moody's first year for education in our district. 3 of our school board members have served on the board for at least 1 full year, with the other 2 joining us in January of 2025. We have been able to observe and be a part of the successes achieved this year. The evaluation focused on 7 standards of performance as well as 2 goals for the district agreed on by the board and Superintendent Moody. We used the performance-based levels recommended by Kentucky School Board Association for his evaluation. The levels are as follows: exemplary exceeds the standard, accomplished meets the standard, developing making progress towards the standard, and improvement required. Progress towards meeting the standard is unacceptable. Superintendent Moody received a rating of exemplary in the areas of collaborative and influential leadership. A few examples of his collaborative leadership are the diverse meetings he attended with fiscal court about transportation, the Retired Teachers Association, the Grant County Kiwanis, as well as the Grant County Chamber of Commerce. His influential leadership was exhibited by his attendance at the Grant County Chamber Dinner and the Northern Kentucky Education Council Awards, where both our students and staff were recognized for their accomplishments. On the remaining standards of strategic, instructional, cultural, human resource, and managerial leadership, Superintendent Moody received a rating of accomplished. Evidence to support this rating includes his town hall meetings and community survey, which were used to gain insight into what our parents, staff, and community value in our students' learning so he could develop our district strategic plan. The board also determined Superintendent Moody has done an exemplary job reaching the goals set by he and the board in August to assess and change, if needed, the vision and mission statement of the school board. After a group discussion, we decided our vision of student-centered excellence is appropriate and what we want for our district. Our mission now reads: the mission of Grant County School Board is to respond to the needs of all students and empower each student to succeed at their highest potential. This will be achieved through our policy decisions and resource management. We believe in all students. Our other goal we challenged him to achieve was to create a district strategic plan that that we, the board, would use to guide our decisions and visions for our district over the next 3 to 5 years. Mr. Moody received an exemplary rating for achieving this goal. We welcome you to review the strategic plan on the Grant County Schools website. The board will be working with Mr. Superintendent Moody over the next several weeks to develop our goals for the district for 25-26 year. We look forward to working together with parents, staff, and students to make Grant County schools successful. So there's your copy of that to put in the minutes. So after that, we'll move on to Mr. Moody. Do you have anything we need to share or discuss?
I just want to let you know the chamber breakfast is Monday at 8 o'clock. So, and then, I can't remember if I shared this with you last week. I've gone ahead and scheduled a town hall meeting July 10 at 6 o'clock in the auditorium. That will give me a chance to kind of revisit where we are, like we talked about in the community. If you're attending as a board, we'll do it like we did last year, where you all will not speak, but I will acknowledge your presence to the audience so that they know that you are there, but it's not a board meeting, because you're there to listen.
So July 10th, at what time again, sorry?
July 10th, 6 o'clock in the high school auditorium.
So we won't have a board meeting, because I had down that we have a board meeting that day, that night.
No, I think because of having, the 4th of July, we moved everything to where the board meeting is gonna be that Wednesday.
I think it's the 17th of July, is that right?
Is the board meeting, and because Lisa was gonna be gone,
Yes, July 17th, on Thursday. We just bumped it down a week because, I was gonna be gone on the 10th.
no work session in July, board meeting on the 17th. And then we'll have the town hall meeting on the 10th.
Yep.
And then, yeah.
There is no work session in July, because of the board calls. And then the Braves Bash is August 2nd. August 2nd.
Yes.
What time does that start?
10.
10 o'clock.
In the morning?
No, at nighttime.
No, not at night.
It's a baseball supplies. Baseball supplies, Braves Bash,
And then on the next page of your agenda, we talked about at the work session was the envision program for middle school math. And we talked about how to bring alignment K through 12 for resource for math.
So when we're gonna start rolling it out?
That'll be this fall. As soon as school starts.
August.
Yeah. So that's my report, and then, we'll go over the FYI stuff.
No, other than to maybe tell Lori, explain to Lori on the calendar update for the kindergarten.
So what we're gonna do, we talked about this last week during the work session. We already have a transition day in place for 6th grade and 9th grade. We're gonna add kindergarten to that day. So kindergarten will come into our 4 elementary schools by themselves for a day. Unlike 6th grade and 9th grade, they're gonna continue straight through. 6th grade, 9th grade, we've always done this, where they have the second day off, we bring all the other grades in, and then they come back. We didn't think that would work well for kindergartners to have 2 first day of schools in 1 year. It would be traumatic for them and their parents both to have to go through that painful separation initially. So what they'll do is just end the day early at the end of the school year with kindergartners we don't. So that'll be added, and we'll update communication and publication of our school calendar. The other thing that was an acknowledgement of the calendar is we will list dates for possible makeup days in the event of snow days, which hopefully will be ready.
Don't listen to the weatherman. Give him chicken fire.
DPP was on there, I guess y'all saw the ending of our fiscal year, how we finished out, which was at 92 point something %, which I thought was relatively good. The financial report was on our desk tonight. We got some expenses, it looks like, in this month, or the month of May. And then personnel actions was listed on the e-meeting. And we didn't have any communications this time because no one is working in buildings right now to communicate anything about, so, as far as what's going on in each building, so. Any other discussion or questions before we adjourn to executive session? Okay. To have a motion to adjourn into executive session, KRS 61.810, 1F, discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee, member, or student without restricting that employee, member, or student's right to a public hearing if requested. This exception shall not be interpreted to permit discussion of general personnel matters in secret. And KRS 156.557, 6C, any preliminary discussions relating to the evaluation of the superintendent by the board or between the board and the superintendent prior to the summative evaluation shall be conducted in closed session. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Also,
All in favor? Who was the first? By the time I got done, Jean and then Lori. By the time I got done, I forgot what I was reading. Thank you for your attendance. We appreciate having some public here tonight. It's nice.
Sorry, I missed your meeting. Okay. Well, in case we have to get back together. Okay. All right, great.
Thank you.